Alright, so really quick, I'm going to walk you through some volume problems. So if you have volume of a rectangular prism, you're going to use the basic formula, volume equals length times height times width, or V equals L times H times W. And when you are doing volume, remember your units are squared or have the 3 on them. So think that since you are multiplying 3 things, put a 3 on it. Now, some of these problems, when we get into a cone, a cylinder, are going to ask you for your radius. Okay? Now, radius is going to be halfway across your circle. And there are times where it's going to give you the diameter, which it wants radius, and your diameter goes clear across your circle. Now, if you have diameter and you need to get the radius, you are going to divide the diameter in 2. So if you need radius, and you have diameter, divide by 2. Okay? Alright, so let's look at some of these. So let's say we have a rectangular prism, and we need to find the volume of it. So we have one that is 10 feet by 5 feet by 2 feet. Hang on, it's not focusing. What you are going to do is you are going to multiply all 3 numbers. So you can actually break this up into easier problems, or if you can do it all in one go, that is fine. So it's going to be 10, and we know that 2 times 5 is 10, 100, and our units is feet cubed. Okay? So that is a rectangular prism. I'll write that over here to the side. Prism wrong. Don't judge me. Alright. So there you go. That's a basic rectangular prism. Now, if it is asking you to find an equation that shows a rectangular prism, you are going to look for something where you are multiplying 3 numbers. So you need to find a problem that looks like this, but with the numbers given. Okay, that makes sense. And if it is asking for, if your answer choices are asking for cubic feet, that means volume. So you are going to once again multiply 3 numbers to get a problem that looks like this, but with the dimensions given. Alright, so now we're going to jump over and look at some different ones. First off, we're going to look at a cone, and I wrote these off out already because I only have like a 15-minute time limit, and it's going to take me a while to get this uploaded. So here we have a cone. We have a height of 7 meters, oops, wrong one, 7 meters, and a radius of 2 meters. So we are going to use our formula. Volume equals 1/3 pi r squared h. Now pi, if you don't remember, is 3.14, and radius is 2, and it's radius, so we don't have to do that to find our, where I talked about diameter, where we have to divide by 2. We don't need to do that. We have plain old radius. Now, squared, that means you are multiplying 2 times 2. Square means you're multiplying that number twice. It does not mean you're multiplying, say if we had 3 and you're not, if we had a radius of 3, it does not mean we are multiplying 3 times 2. It means we'd be multiplying 3 times 3. A lot of you are making that mistake. So we are going to plug in our problem. So we're going to plug in 1/3 times 3.14 times 2 squared times 7. Now I wrote this out step by step. If you can do this in one go, you don't need to do this step. So volume equals 1/3 times 3.14 times 4, which is our 2 squared, times 7. When we multiply our 3.14 times 4 times 7, we get 87.92. Now we're going to multiply that by 1/3, and we are going to get 29.3 meters cubed. Make sure you have that 3 on there. If you don't have it on there, people are going to assume it's either perimeter or area. Alright. So moving on. Now we're going to look at a cylinder, and we have a height of 7 kilometers and a radius of 8 kilometers. So for a cylinder, we're going to use the formula. Volume equals pi radius squared times height. Once again, we're going to plug and go. 3.14 times 8 squared times 7. So it's going to be 3.14 times 64, which is 8 squared, times 7. Multiply 3.14. Now when you multiply 64 times 7, you get 448. Now I'm not going to show you the steps to multiply because you know that, or else we would be here for longer than my time limit. And then when we multiply that together, we get a volume of 1,406.72 kilometers squared. And my camera is not focusing today, guys. I'm sorry. Alright, so we're going to do a cylinder again. This time we have a height of 4 and a radius of 5. So we plug and go. So we use the same formula we just worked with. So we have volume equals 3.14 times radius squared times our height. So we plug in what we have. So it's going to be 3.14 times 5 squared times 4. So when we find our 5 squared, now we have a problem with 3.14 times 25 times 4. Multiply, we get volume equals 3.14 times 100. Whenever we multiply that, we now get volume equals 3.14, sorry, not 3.14, 314 inches cubed. And again, it's going to give you your units. If it does not give you your units, you can go ahead and put cubic units or whatever your teacher told you to use. Alright, so now we are going to look at another cone. And this one is a little bit different than our other cone we worked on. We still have our height of 18 meters. That does not change anything. But here we have a diameter of 18. Now, if you recall, our formula for a cone is 1/3 times pi times radius squared times our height. Now, even though we have a diameter, we can still do this. We talked about this a couple of minutes ago. You are going to divide 18 by 2 and you have your radius. So 18 divided by 2 is 9. So once we have that figured out, it's just a regular old cone problem. So we are going to use the formula, which we already talked about. So now we're going to plug in our numbers. So we have volume equals 1/3 times 3.14 times 9 squared times 18. So now we are going to go ahead and figure out what 9 squared is, and that's 81. So now we have a problem of volume equals 1/3 times 3.14 times 81 times 18. Alright, so the next step, I multiplied 81 times 18. So now we have a new problem of volume equals 1/3 times 3.14 times 1,458. Okay, and the next step, I just multiply 3.14 times 1,458 to get 4,578.12. We're going to multiply that by 1/3, and we get a final answer of volume equals 1,526.04 meters cubed once again. Alright, so moving on. Now we have a cylinder, and we have the same situation with the cylinder as we just had with that cone. We have our diameter, and we need radius. So in order to find radius, once again, we are going to divide our diameter by 2. So we have a height of 10 feet. We don't do anything with that. We're going to have a diameter of 22. When we divide that by 2, we get 11, and we have our radius. And some of you have asked me before in class, what happens if we don't divide that diameter, because you're going to end up with it, right? No. Whenever you square 11, you're going to get 121. When you square 22, hang on, you get 484, and this is going to throw your whole problem off completely. So remember, if you have a line that goes clear across the circle, it's diameter. And if it's asking for radius, divide it in 2. So, sorry, I got off on a little tangent there. So we're going to use our formula for our cylinder. It's going to be volume equals 3.14 times radius squared times our height. So volume is 3.14 times our radius. We just talked about how we got that, is 11 squared times 10. So we are going to do 3.14 times 121, which is 11 squared, times 10. So, in the next step, I just dropped my 3.14 down, and I multiplied 121 by 10 to get 1,210. And whenever we multiply those two numbers together, we get 3,799.4 feet squared. So remember to have that square on there. Alright, I hope this helps, and I will catch you later.